What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Wology. We're back with another YouTube video. But this time, we're in college, and it's an assignment. So as you can see, this is my presentation for my cultural geography class. Shout out Don Collie. My presentation is over football and how it affects culture and the culture football creates. Touchdown, American football, and its culture. Let's get started. First, why am I doing this? Why is it important to me? Well, I chose to do my research project over football and how it affects culture because it's something I love. It's something I like to do. I like to play football. I love to watch football. I go to football games. You can say I'm a big football guy. I love football. Used to play football. Wasn't good at it. Used to play. I live in America, the great United States. You see football everywhere. Football's on the television 4 times a week. Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Fridays if you count high school. We'll count high school 5 days a week. That's important. That is obviously, that's more than some political things in America. And America's political. That's why it's important, because it's part of my everyday life. To understand its culture, you gotta know what football is. Football is America's most popular sport. It beats out baseball by a mile. It's a competitive contact sport with heavy hitting and exciting plays. Both college and National Football League are worth billions of dollars. It is a high creating profit sport. You see money everywhere in this sport, and it brings lots of attention. What does football have to do with culture? Or how does football have culture? Well, when you think of 2 teams playing against each other, you think of football. The National Football League was created in 1920. I'm creating this in 2021. That's 100 years ago. But the first football game that was ever played was in 1869 versus Rutgers and Princeton. It's a long time ago. I wasn't even born. That's 100 years of history, and that's plenty of time to create culture. And trust me, there's lots of culture surrounding football. So you're asking, Sam, Wology, you're talking about how, culture is a part of football. Well, what is it? How does it affect football? I'll tell you. Cultural effects of football are identity, globalization, material versus non-material culture, environmental determinism, and migration. Now you're saying, what do all these terms have to do with football? That's what I'm about to explain. First, we're going to look at the global scale and local scale. Local scale is your high school hometown football team. Now, you got those people that live in your hometown and they're just all about their football. They go to every game, even though they're 65 years old. They're alumni. They've been there, they've done that, they love the football game. They're gonna be there on Friday nights. And we're gonna talk about college football on the local scale. Because there are college towns and there are people who grow up in college towns that support their college football team. So it's local to them. But people may live far away and be fans, and so it's more of like on the global scale. But on the global scale itself, it's going to be the National Football League. You say, Sam, how is it global if it's national? Well, it's expanding, and we'll get into that later. Identity, our first term. With football, identity is very important. All football teams have different team names and team colors. And it's a part of their identity. It's what makes them them. This makes fans proud to support their football teams, and they love to wear their team colors. I know I love wearing OSU colors. Go Cowboys. Fans will buy merchandise that represents them and their love for their team. It has the team's logo on the merchandise. They will proudly show it off. I'm wearing a Finnish orange shirt. It doesn't have the Cowboys logo, but since we're at the local OSU campus, people know that means Cowboys. Most of the times, fans support teams that are local to them. They take pride in their city and love to support teams that are closer to them, relative space. If it's closer to them, they'll like it. Another important part of identity is people support teams that represent who they are. As an Oklahoma State University student, I'm Cowboy, so I'll support the Cowboys. Parents will support the teams that their kids play on. College students, alumni will usually represent the college they went to. People who wear NFL teams, usually they're close to them, or they just pick one of the teams if they're not close to any. I mean, I live in Oklahoma, we don't got a team, so usually people pick between Kansas City or Dallas Cowboys. We'll choose the Dallas Cowboys on this one. Next is environmental determinism. That's a hard word to pronounce, but it kind of relates to identity. It's very close. What that means is basically you are a product of your environment, so you're more likely to support your local team. If you're close to a team, you're going to support them because you're local, you're close. It's easier to support them. Fans choose their teams off of the environment they're surrounded in. You go to college, you'll support your college team. That's because you're close to them, you're on campus, and you're more likely to go to their games because you're relatively close. Like I was saying, college students become fans of the teams that their college has. They go to the games and cheer for their team. For the NFL, fans will choose a team near them or go off those around them. On a local scale, high school teams, fans consist of students, parents, or of students, and people who live in the area, basically like alumni or people who haven't left the town. Migration. It's another important part of the culture in football. I took this picture. I went to the Big 12 championship between OSU and Baylor. OSU lost, but it's okay. As you can see, this is just one half of the stadium. It's just like a sea of orange. That's because fans migrated all the way down to Arlington, Texas, to AT&T Stadium just to watch Oklahoma State lose at the 1-yard line. Other than that, they migrate. They'll go and see teams that they like. All football teams travel to play away games. It's part of the game. You play in your home stadium, got your home crowd. You go to away stadiums, got the opposing crowd. But sometimes, like I said, fans like to migrate and they'll show up. Loyal fans love to travel with the team and watch them play and show their support. I mean, from Stillwater, Oklahoma, where I currently live, it is like a 4-hour drive to Arlington, Texas. I believe it's 271 miles. That's not the farthest anybody will travel for a football game. I'm sure somebody in this stadium traveled a lot farther than I did to watch them play. I know from Baylor University to Arlington, it's only like an hour and a half. But I mean, that's still a good distance to watch a football team play. Every team has diehard fans that will travel to watch their favorite team play. I wouldn't say I'm a diehard fan of Oklahoma State, but I'll watch them play. Personally, I'm a diehard fan of the Florida Gators. I was born in Gainesville, Florida, and I support them a lot. I've gone to Florida to watch a game, and that's a lot. That's like 16 hours to Gainesville. So that's a little bit farther. I guess I'm a diehard fan for the Gators. But part of football culture is wearing your team's favorite colors or your team's colors proudly when you're at away games. Show it off. Let the people know that you're there. Flex a little bit. Even if they win, that's even a bigger flex. But that's a part of the football culture. Show your support if they're winning or losing. Part of the material culture of football. The sport of football has lots of material culture, ranging from merchandise all the way to billion-dollar stadiums. Like AT&T Stadium that I was just talking about, it was built, I forgot the total amount of money that was spent on it, but it was, I think like $3.6 billion. It went way over budget. But the padding and helmets players wear are also a part of material culture. The stadiums they play in, like I said, definitely a part of material culture. The facilities, those are all part of material culture. I know, especially for Division I programs in college and NFL, they have state-of-the-art facilities that are just pretty amazing to play in and to get your work in. Worth lots of money. Another big part of material culture is the merchandise they sell at games. Like I was saying with fans' identity, they love to wear their sports colors and their logo. So it's just one of those things that are part of football culture is to wear your team's colors, wear your team's logo. I mean, it's a really big thing around Christmas time. People get it for their children or just loved ones. It's like a little present. Non-material culture, that's more like traditions and how fans or even players react. Most teams have certain traditions they like to do, and sometimes even include the fans. One tradition I really like to talk about is the Penn State whiteout game. I mean, that is really a crazy tradition. At one home game every year, they have a whiteout game. Every person in the stadium's wearing white, and it just gets pretty crazy. It's loud, it's energetic, it's a great tradition that Penn State has. Another tradition that most colleges have is singing of the alma mater after games. And if they win or lose, fans and players will link arms and sing the alma mater. Just kind of like a celebratory thing. More non-material cultures, homecoming games. At Oklahoma State, homecoming's super important. It's super big of our culture here. The homecoming game for football, everything about it, the tailgates, all are a part of football culture. Kiss cams, man, that's something funny that you like to see on the big screens. And there's just other rituals fans do at certain times in games that are all part of the non-material culture in football. Like chants, just any sort of ritual or traditions that teams have. All part of non-material culture in football culture itself. Here we're going to talk about globalization. The National Football League is working on globalizing the NFL. They've done a little bit of it, but they're going to keep going, and they're in the process of working hard on it. They have playing NFL games overseas since 2005. The first overseas NFL game or out-of-country NFL game was in Mexico City, Mexico. They've also played games in London, and they're planning on going to Australia, I believe. There are plans to expand the locations of these overseas games and include more out-of-country games in the regular season. I believe they play one game. I think each team plays one game, or there's only one game out of the regular season that are overseas. There's just a little bit of struggle there because jet lag and everything. They're still trying to work that out. But with the culture that comes with football, the people of London and in Mexico are super excited for the possibility of getting an NFL team. They've been doing a lot of research and looking into expanding the NFL from 32 teams to more so, out-of-country teams and just globalizing the NFL at all. That's the next step. The country of Brazil is super excited about the National Football League. They have the second most viewers out of country. The first is Mexico, but they're super excited. Next, the market for globalization in the NFL is there and will spread the culture of American football. As soon as NFL globalizes, you'll see tailgating, chants, rituals. I mean, it will just spread like wildfire. Football players from other countries have been coming to the United States to play football for a long time. Oklahoma State University has 2 players already from out of country. They're from Australia. I believe one's the punter, and I think the other one is the kicker. So 2 players just on Oklahoma State alone from out of country, and there's lots of others on other teams. The huge part of football culture is the college towns. College towns are cities that have 20% of its population as college students, 4-year college students. college sports are a main point in the culture of college towns. They bring in spectators from all over and bring in a ton of revenue for the city. Stores in college towns are always showing support for their local football team and are usually decorated with the team's colors. So, I mean, as people come into the city for the football games, they'll either eat before in the city or eat after. They'll come in and tailgate. They'll buy stuff from gas stations like beer. They'll just, spend money, create lots of revenue for the city. And, stadiums and colleges pay taxes for, just having all the parking and stuff there. So there's a large amount of revenue that's coming out of these games. Another key component to the college culture in college towns are the business districts close to campus. So most universities have places that are not strictly, but are usually centered around college students. They have like bars, restaurants, little boutiques. I know here at OSU they call it the Strip. They're usually places very close to campus that are centered around college students, and where they can just go off campus and get something to eat, or after a long time studying they can go get a beer or something. But there's a sense of pride between students and alumni in the city. That's something for sure. They show their identity, they show their pride of who they are and who they support. The culture is everywhere and hard to miss in college towns. You look everywhere and you see somebody wearing, a college shirt. You see everything. Every business usually has something saying like "Go Pokes," "Go Team," just anything that revolves around the football team or just sports in general. College towns are great for football culture because, especially during season, you see it everywhere. That was the end of my presentation. Don Kale, I hope you like this, or if it's the TA watching this, I hope you enjoyed it. I worked hard on it. And welcome to my YouTube channel. I mean, stay around, watch a couple videos. I don't know, you may like it, may subscribe, who knows. Peace.